The Rise and Fall of Pokemon Go. I've been seeing this in my recommended for a weekish or two now, and I figured it's about time we give this a watch. Maybe it'll take us down memory lane. Let's see what MYSTIC7 has to say about the Rise and Fall of Pokemon Go. I'm sure, you know, there was like the whole trend of like shitting on Pokemon Go for a second. But even MYSTIC7, that's fascinating. Let's see it. Let's see if it's actually, let's see what type of points MYSTIC7 would like to make here.
Has had one of the most meteoric rises.
Okay.
Pokemon Go has had one of the most meteoric rises and falls in gaming history, with it becoming the most successful game ever in 2016 to a game everyone used to play months later.
Turn up a bit.
Today we take a look into the incredible story that is Pokemon Go.
Why is this?
There's one thing we all remember from the summer of 2016, it is the insanity that was Pokemon Go.
It's the new national obsession, or a potentially lethal fad. Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go.
I don't know what to say about some of these clips.
Pokemon fever is
wow.
84 in St. Pete right
Someone's
now.
catching an AR.
Pokemon? She's looking at Pokemon right now.
They let brain
2016 Pokemon Go is the closest we've ever been to world peace. The game was everywhere and everyone was
says
playing
that, but I mean, to be fair, it definitely connected a lot of communities.
Sense why.
It's crazy to think
little buddy, wanna ride?
this is the OG
Nearly
commercial.
everyone on Earth had grown up either playing, watching, or at least hearing about Pokemon. So
Yeah.
when marketing began for a new game,
It was very nostalgic, 100% in this game, the way it's designed. If you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, you played Pokemon, you were there for Pokemania, and this game appeals to a lot of people that just existed during that time period. Even if you didn't even care about Pokemon, some people, this is their very first Pokemon game, and it's kind of interesting.
Childhood Pokemon
It's all that
Master
age group,
dreams in
though.
Real life, it got people excited, and when the game dropped, it was a completely new gaming experience never seen before that took the world by storm. The concept of in-game points of interest being scattered throughout the real world was groundbreaking. Instead of jumping in Discord with the homies to game, you could meet up in real life and walk around catching Pokemon together during the beautiful summer month of
old
July.
gyms.
It was in every household in every country on every continent in the world. Pokemon Go saw some 260 million downloads and generated over $800 million in 2016 alone.
This music choice is so odd. I just had to
Absolutely
point that
triumphed
out.
over every other video game released that year, even pushing popular new games like Clash Royale into near irrelevance.
Oh yeah, for
No one
sure.
could stand up against the titanic monster that was Go.
I'm pretty
This
sure it
was
was, yeah.
pure euphoria that unfortunately wouldn't last very long.
These
When looking at a Google trend chart of Pokemon Go from 2016 until now, it's obvious when and where the game peaked. But what caused that sharp decline to happen? Was that really Pokemon Go's fault? Or did the game just reach
That is a
unsustainable
pretty
levels of
sharp
virality right off the
loss
bat? To
of
figure this out, we
interest.
have to zoom in a bit
It's
and
like the
examine
first
game
year
from
came
summer
out,
release until the end of
it just plateaued. Sorry, that's actually hilarious. I need to see this graph again. Like, is that a real graph of its popularity? Come on. I'm sorry about the commercials. I'm on one of my all YouTube accounts.
2017.
I need to
In
see
real
this
life, with our
graph.
family and friends, there were
Maybe
some
it's
serious
he's
problems
looking
with
by
the
like
game
search
at
term.
first. The infamous servers are down screen became an internet
Like
meme
Google
due to how
relevancy,
frequently the
which,
game
you know,
went
is a
down
good
and players had to
thing
wait
to
for it
base
to
it
be
by.
fixed, which made sense considering how many
Because if people aren't
tried to
searching
play
the game,
the
then they're
first
obviously
month
not playing
launch.
it.
There's no way any developer could have expected that level of explosion and server stress. But there were other major issues that caused players around the world
This
to drop
music
the
is
game
like
as quickly
the
as
music
they
from like
could.
Sunny
The
V
in-game
2 or
Pokemon
something.
tracking system was incredibly hard to use and was actually completely removed
But
within the first month of
Pokemon
launch,
Go,
and wouldn't
it rose and fell.
be fixed until 5
Imagine
months
if he
later
like
in
put his
November,
own
when
self
looking
in
at the
this
trend graph,
video. I
most
mean, why
players
not?
already left
It makes
the
sense
game.
too.
Even though the concept of the game was groundbreaking, it wasn't all what lifelong Pokemon fans thought it would be. People expected
what if
the ability to
Pokemon
see,
Go
interact
never
with,
came
hunt,
back?
and battle with
Yo,
Pokemon
this
in a
footage.
virtual reality kind of way. Like
Oh
how
my
the pre-launch
gosh, I laughed at that
advertisements
stuff.
depicted.
I remember
For most
watching.
people, the game
I actually watched a lot of these videos they have on Niantic's
would be fixed
website
until
one
5
time.
months later in November.
It was like a 7-hour stream where I started off doing GBL, then it turned into this long, like, discussion about Niantic and
When looking
how
at the
bad of a
trends graph,
company they
most
are.
players had
But I was on their website, just reading the statement of their game. I was like, yeah, they're definitely just AR. they don't really care about Pokemon Go like that. This was so long ago. It was like actually kind of crazy, like just seeing how things have unfolded over the past year itself. It's fascinating.
Left by then. And even though the concept of the game was groundbreaking, it wasn't all what lifelong Pokemon fans thought it would be. People expected the ability to see, interact with, hunt, and battle with Pokemon in a virtual reality kind of way, like how the pre-launch advertisements depicted it. And for most people, the game was a huge letdown. It was buggy, no new features were being released, and once you caught most of the Generation 1 Pokemon, there was really nothing else to do. Plus, the AR aspect was poor at best, nothing like how the game trailers looked. Pokemon Go got stale fast. And if you know anything about trends in modern day attention spans, you'll know they move on quickly. And for 4 months after release, nothing new came to the game. Until finally, in October of 2016, something extraordinary happened.
Man, Reversal. It's been a while since he's been making Pokemon Go content.
Groundbreaking idea in Pokemon Go. For a certain amount of time, different and rare Pokemon were spawning in the world around you. And as someone who played that event every day, it was incredible. One of my favorite.
That was pretty fun. I remember.
But not even that could bring the hype back for the game, only boosting its popularity a small amount. Although later in the year in December, there was the first ever holiday event that really brought a lot of people back. But again, everyone left after it was over. And in January of 2017,
Adventure
felt
Week
like it was
probably
completely dead.
Is Pokemon Go a dead game?
Pokemon Go, is it finally dead? Are we at the end of the era? Oh my gosh, that was a fun game while it lasted.
Then something mind-blowing happened. New Pokemon were released. In February of 2017, the entire Generation 2 was released into the wild. It was madness and really brought back the feel of summer 2016. People were out everywhere playing again, there were endless new Pokemon to catch, and the game seemed to actually work
endless?
well.
No, I'm pretty sure most people caught it in the first day or two.
Once you caught most of the Pokemon, there wasn't much else to do. There were a lot more events in 2017 that kept the game fairly interesting, including the first ever shiny Pokemon release, Magikarp, in March, which was hyped. But this period of time was absolutely the
I
most
remember
the game has
the
ever
OG
been, with the exception
shiny.
of a huge popularity
Anyone
spike
had
in
one
the
during
summer
that
of
time.
2017.
That's pretty
Two
rare.
major features: raids being introduced to the game for the first time ever, and the first in-person Go Fest event, which was a complete failure.
We've been looking forward to this for the last 6 months. Fingers crossed, it'll be an awesome day.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot.
Were there connectivity issues?
Oh my gosh. This is from 2016 or 17, excuse me. The first year they actually did Go Fest was 2017. That's actually insane that 6 years ago this was the mood in the game, and it's fascinating. I actually forgot about how this failed.
Absolutely. Were people locked out of the game? Absolutely.
We're direct line backstage with the engineering team who's working it.
Yeah, there was like no connected. I didn't go to this.
This is a battle from Valor's game.
I was hoping that this wouldn't have been a problem. They weren't expecting it to be this bad.
As you can see behind me, there's still
Oh my gosh, this is actually amazing.
Crashing all morning, and people have been frankly pissed.
That summer was the last major spike the game would see for years to come.
I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it is kind of funny because we already know where it's at right now. But yeah, it's like that was 2017. Just to remind you.
After an extremely hard 2017, which had record low revenue and active users,
how can
seemed to
it
turn
like
around
again?
The revenue.
Well, we remember where we're at. We're at 539. Okay, so this was the graph from earlier.
When looking at a Google trend chart of
Interest
Pokemon Go from
efforts.
2016 until
Like it's still doing good. Like, it's actually kind of insane to think this is where it was at the very beginning, and then just completely died. It was like just a gimmick to most people, but the few people that really have kept up with it this long, it's kind of interesting. It's just like plateaued, which, you know, it's kind of hard to say if this is at a good, it has to be still relatively at a good number still, regardless of if we have this huge dip early on. Like, okay, let's just get back to where we're at. Yeah, it's for search terms, but like I guess like, to be fair, that's not a good comparison. Because obviously a lot of people were searching it right as it was launched.
For all the moments.
Like, for all we know, like, where it kind of plateaued was just like a couple million active users a daily or whatever.
that Pokemon Go had in its explosion. It seemed like Niantic,
Right, where did I go?
low revenue and active users, things seemed to turn around,
Sorry.
Issues, absolutely.
which was a complete failure.
We've been looking forward to this for the
Just gonna
last
rewatch
6
this
months.
part.
Fingers crossed, it'll be an
Like,
awesome
I actually kind of forgot where I was at. I knew it was close to this, but I just want to watch them yell at him again. Yeah, fix the game.
Connectivity issues,
Let's go back
People
and
locked
fix
out
the
of
game.
Absolutely.
We're direct line backstage with the engineering team who's working it, and we'll
Yeah, that's a
keep you
great
updated on status.
point. It's not active users, and honestly, that plateau could probably be like, it's obviously relevant.
They weren't expecting it to be this bad.
As you can see behind me, there's still a line to get in, and the game has just been crashing all morning, and people have been...
It's crazy. I forgot how bad this was, and people were mad.
Years to come.
The rebuild.
After an extremely hard 2017, which had record low revenue and active users, things seemed to turn around for Pokemon Go. The revenue and active players actually doubled in 2018, and if you were playing the game at the time, you could probably feel why. It seemed like Niantic, the developers, had finally caught up to the pace that Pokemon Go had in its explosive
I was
launch.
streaming a
They hired
lot
ton of
at
new
this
people
point on
and really got to
Twitch,
work on
doing
fixing
the
broken
mobile
features
streams.
and releasing new things that kept players interested. It really felt like they had found the rhythm and were trying to get Pokemon Go to a place where it should have been when it launched. Every month had 1 to 2 major events, and since raids now existed, there were constantly new rare Pokemon to and a new kind of event was introduced.
What's that
and it
guy's
became
name?
one of the most
Ali?
popular
What?
and
Like,
loved to
that
this
guy's a
day.
meme.
Community Day. The first one being in January of
I remember the
2018,
Surf
featuring the
Pikachu
one and only
Community Day.
Pikachu.
That was my
Plus,
very
for
first
people like
shiny.
myself who like to travel, and for players around the world,
Here, let me
there were
actually show
a
you.
ton more in-person events globally. 2018 saw incredible major events in Taiwan, Germany, America, and Japan, which to this day are some of my favorite and most fond Pokemon Go memories ever. Oh, and not to mention,
My very
Go
first
Fest
shiny.
2018 was fantastic, and with the exception of a couple hiccups, worked
January
infinitely
20th,
better than the previous
2018.
year. Again, it really felt like the game had improved in all aspects
Surf
by
Pikachu.
100x. 2019 felt the exact same. Better, actually. It seemed each month was packed with new
I'll just show
Pokemon to
you
catch and events to play.
some of
Like
my
the
old
Hoenn
shinies while
Celebration
watching
of
this.
January, Lunar New Year of February, Equinox of March, the game was on fire and got better and better as the months progressed. For the first time ever, summer 2019 saw 3
My little
different
love
Pokemon
disc
Go Fest events
from
instead of
2000?
the usual one. There was an event in Germany,
Wait,
the
what?
US, and Japan.
2018.
They were all so much fun
The
to play. Summer 2019 also
Valentine
saw the
event.
release of Team Rocket and Shadow Pokemon, which was a huge
Oh,
deal.
yeah, that was a
To
huge
this day is
deal.
one of the most important features due to the meta relevancy of Shadow Pokemon caught from Team Rocket.
Yeah, for sure.
September of this year could be considered the greatest month ever of Pokemon Go. Due to challenges players completed at Go Fest, there were 3 weeks of incredible Ultra Unlock events. These events
Yeah, I
featured
do
major
remember that. It was
features like
awesome.
shiny legendaries and unknown in raids, incredible hatches, and the release of Shiny Mewtwo. And the rest of the year followed
Oh my
suit.
gosh,
amazing
Shiny
update
Mewtwo.
after amazing update, one after another. Pokemon Go was in the news, players were starting to pick it up again, the game was back. Until the unimaginable happened.
We have rang the alarm bell loud and clear. We have therefore made
Sub-Chim
the
Show.
assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
I am officially declaring a national emergency.
The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades.
We're currently watching this video by MYSTIC7, The Rise and Fall of Pokemon Go.
Coronavirus.
In 2020, the world completely shut down due to the COVID-19
It's
epidemic.
right before everything shut down. In-person PvP was actually making a rise at this point. He didn't really mention anything about PvP, to be honest, but or maybe he did and I dismissed it. I don't think he mentioned it, if I'm not mistaken. But Montebello happened earlier. I think it was like late 2019, if I remember correctly. It was like that like fall, and then I remember I did something like the Rose Cup. I think I have that right, but the Rose Cup was the last in-person tournament. Like a lot of Sylph was happening in-person wise. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like there was a lot of like really cool PvP streams occurring at the time, like Taco 33433 and all the homies and shit like that. Yo. Ada, thank you so much for that resub. I really appreciate the support. Great to have you here.
Occupy mostly everyone's daily schedules since there wasn't really much else to do. And in a world where you couldn't go outside, gaming was a godsend. But only if you didn't have to go outdoors to play. And guess the only game that required that? Pokemon Go. Right when it seemed like the game was finally back on track.
Everyone was pretty, like, the thing about it is, at this point in the game, most people were just like, were down with the way how gimmicky the game was. I do feel like it was a little waning on me personally, but I did enjoy doing a lot of my mobile streams in downtown Los Angeles and all around the LA area. It was a lot of fun just kind of exploring places that I never would have and meeting people, getting into different scenarios. That was definitely very unique at the time. But yeah, like a lot of like great memories, but I can't see myself ever really doing it like that again, to be honest.
Part of it was completely shut down by something out of everyone's control. Surely
Yo,
this
that's
was the end of
sick,
Pokemon
Chimchar.
Go and the true death of the game. Right? Exactly the opposite happened. The developers Niantic quickly began adding features, discounts, and events, all focused on making at-home play more fun.
Yeah, that was a
They
good
the
adaptation.
Decisions they were making would change Pokemon Go forever.
Increased
In March, they announced
distance,
they would
the
be
increased
creating new ways
spawns,
to enjoy
in
real-world
sense.
gaming from home. And on March 15th, we saw the first major change. 6-hour community day events instead of 3, which gave everyone a huge window to catch the features.
Oh yeah.
And by April of 2020, a slew of new features were
Dang, we
released,
skipped so
including
many.
daily field research, which allowed players to get
So many
stamps towards
years.
their research breakthrough box without needing to spin a stop. Gifts given by buddy Pokemon, again removing the need
There
for
it
players
is.
to go outside and spin stops. Eggs hatched with half the distance. Incense went from 30 minutes to 1 hour, and spawns appeared every minute instead of every 5 minutes. And they even gave out a 1 Pokecoin bundle with 30
That was
incense.
nice.
Plus, not far after, the radius that players could spin stops and hit raids with
Being that free
and
remote
the
pass
Battle League's
was
walking
also really
requirement
nice.
was removed. Nearly everything that required you to go out
Or that $1
Pokemon
one,
Go
or
was now
one
able
coin,
to be
excuse
done
me.
comfortably from home. Except one of the most fundamental parts of the game. Raids. Raids happened
And
at
the
gyms,
$1 one.
which were specific
Let's be
to
real.
life locations. And to
That's like
fix
a
this
Freudian
problem,
slip.
Niantic released an item that would change the course of the game forever. An item that would help reignite the game's popularity and boost
Oh, wow,
revenue
really?
to its highest point.
Here we go.
The remote raid pass. On April 15th,
Holy
Pokemon Go
smokes, it didn't
announced
really
new
make that
ways
much
to
of a
raid,
difference.
Power up your Pokemon,
I didn't even
receive
realize.
gifts to send out, and
I've had terrible vision for most of my life.
Peyton.
It all started when I couldn't.
That's actually kind of crazy that the remote raid pass was that. If that's real and that's not like skewed in any way, that's kind of crazy that it made the interest of the game that much more. All right, sorry about the commercials. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just kind of scrolling based on when I caught these in my inventory. There's so many random ones that I caught that were just like either come on stream or they're just kind of like, you know? I feel like I was with you, Danielle, when I caught this. This is the OG one. Oh wait, sorry. The commercial's over.
to send out, and more. Where they outlined a new feature that would allow players to access screen. Where they outlined a new and
Yes!
And the Unova event, releasing several new Pokemon and new shinies. The rest
True.
of the year continued to be amazing update-wise. Mega Pokemon released in September, October packed with multiple
Mega Evolution was a great addition. At first it was a little lackluster, but the way it currently is, where if you have your max, you know, if you level up your Mega Evolution to the 3rd level, the benefits are pretty good. Especially right now, there's like currently in the game this like global unlock that happened that has a higher chance of getting XL candy if you do nice, great, and excellent throws. So on top of having something mega with that typing, at level 3, you could probably rack up a decent amount of XL candy. I'm not gonna waste my time, but I definitely want to try to get some spicy picks for Catch Cup for the end of the season. My eyes are on you, XL Krabby.
Pokemon releases, including what many people think to be the best Halloween event that ever happened.
Yo, A-Drive's mobile streams are pretty good.
And the year ended with some huge events.
That's a sick shiny
season. But there was one little eensy-beensy announcement Niantic made back in September that shocked the community and would start the game down a road of controversy, out-of-touch decisions, and mistakes it would never recover from. On September 29th, Pokemon GO tweeted announcing that at the start of October, changes would be made to the current pandemic bonuses. Hatch distance going back to normal, extra incense effectiveness only working when walking, and your buddy bringing you gifts only once per day. The biggest change being the extra incense effectiveness, which had allowed players to participate in and enjoy events in the game.
This actually...
Now, even though Niantic had announced that these features...
There was a few different streamers where their content was revolved around incense spawns, like Thomas and Monster Max. And this nerf actually affected them tremendously.
All temporary and eventually one day would be rolled back. The world was very much so still in a pandemic during October of 2020. So beginning to roll back the features at this time made no sense, and the community was not happy about it. Backlash on social media began and spread rapidly, with many people and creators criticizing Niantic's decision. The company came under so much fire from the global player base that on November 19th, they returned the features back to their pandemic state. In this article, Niantic specifically reiterated that these were temporary features, but would stay in the game until at least June of 2021. And although the community was pretty satisfied with this, it left a really sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Why would Niantic make such an out-of-touch decision after so many months of amazing updates? And this wasn't the only...
I think a big part of it too was COVID was still pretty active at the time.
Poor decision made this year. In December, there was one little event that went down horrendously with the community, and to all of our surprise,
worst event ever.
Turned time and time again since the Galarian Mr. Mime event. This event featured the release of 2 new Pokemon.
That's true.
Galarian
This
Mr. Mime
event did.
and Rhyme.
It was very lackluster.
But in order to play this event and catch these new Pokemon, people had to purchase access.
That's right. This was a ticketed event you had to spend money on. I completely forgot about this. I didn't do this.
$8 USD. This was one of the first major times a new Pokemon had been locked behind a paywall that wasn't just raids or eggs. And it was a really weird cash grab considering Niantic had generated a record $1.23 billion in 2020. But everyone sort of brushed this event off and forgot about it kind of quickly. And we were all quickly entertained again moving into 2021, which was the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. This was obviously a big deal, and Pokemon GO celebrated hard. January and February were filled with events featuring and celebrating specific generations, and it all ended with the Kanto Celebration event, which was incredible. The OG 151 Pokemon were all back and in the wild.
It's so many ads on this video. It's like, give me some mercy, bro. I feel like this is the 4th ad I've had to watch in a 20-minute video. It's like kind of crazy. Still, man. Hey, you're definitely entitled to your opinion. I'm just watching this because I wanted to see what he might say, but yeah, he definitely, it's a very interesting video, to say the least.
Were stacked, including the legendary birds and Mewtwo. Fun events and good times continued for the next couple of months until June 2021 arrived. The month
I feel like that he made this video, especially seeing that this was like a trending thing. You know, he probably knew a lot of people would watch it. That's why there's so many like ads in this video. It's like crazy.
Bonuses would be staying until. By now, players had gotten used to the COVID version of the game and were really enjoying it. Even huge streamers like Ninja and Tim the Tatman were playing or talking about the game on stream. It was in an amazing place and everyone was having fun. With all that considered, would they actually roll back the bonuses? On June 21st, Pokemon GO released an announcement titled Exploration Bonus Updates Coming to Pokemon GO, which was a somewhat misleading title. The article did talk about some new bonuses coming to the game, but the most important
I don't think so. No. I doubt it.
Features, which they seemingly attempted to sneak by the community, hiding the announcement in this article.
I'm going to be playing in Fresno this weekend doing Go, but I'm just like chilling out today. I was just like touching base. Like I felt like watching this video on stream. But yeah, I will be competing this weekend in Fresno for Go.
There were 3 major changes they were making. They were reverting the incense back to its pre-pandemic effectiveness of 1 spawn every 5 minutes while stationary. Buddy Pokemon would bring less gifts for people to send, and
I wanted to see if this video would bring back some memories for me, and one thing I actually forgot was how outraged people were back in 2017 over the first Go Fest, having a lot of technical issues.
would be decreased back to their normal size. There was
Okay,
also a small mention of how
connectivity
remote
problems.
raids would eventually even change in the coming future.
And there
As you can
still
imagine,
is
the
to
community
stay.
erupted. Not only was the pandemic still lingering, but these features had made Pokemon Go an enjoyable and accessible game for all
The
people.
sad
Taking them
piano.
away felt like a massive step backwards. These features belonged in the game, and the community was not quiet about it. Pokemon Go and Niantic.
I feel like
trended
the
on Twitter
choice of music doesn't really fit the narration style.
of thousands of tweets protesting this change, and everyone was talking about it on YouTube. For the next month, the entire internet seemed to overflow in support of keeping the bonuses. Niantic couldn't keep quiet for long about this, and on August 5th, they released a statement addressing the community, basically saying that they had heard the community loud and clear and would be returning on September 1st with a decision on how they were going to proceed. This entire situation put a huge damper on the mood of Pokemon Go during the usually exciting summer months, which made for a really weird Go Fest season. But there was still a global event for that in July, which had one of the coolest features
That's
ever.
cool.
Day 2 of Go Fest had every single legendary that had ever been released back in the raids, which was epic. Then the wait for September began. What would they do? The first of the month came, and with it, an announcement released titled
Task
What We Heard, an
Force.
update from our task force, where Niantic outlined the official changes they were going to make. In an attempt to please the community and also continue to move the game away from at-home play, Pokemon Go chose to keep the double
They
player
like took
radius of
forever to do anything with this. Did they
Specific
ever
bonuses that
really
were
do anything with the
COVID-related
task
would be
force?
tied to
Maybe like a few
seasonal
things. I
bonuses,
don't
which
remember.
rotated every 3 months, and they vowed to have better communication with their community. They stated 2 major things on that front, which are important to remember for later. They would begin publishing a bi-monthly developer diary outlining updates and development decisions, and they'd set up regular conversations with community leaders to not lose touch with
Yeah, I
the
don't think they really
community.
did that.
Over other changes,
Because
somewhat continued, but the
look at what
community
they've
as a whole
done.
seemed fairly satisfied with this compromise. And life and Pokemon Go moved on. After this all, though, the community just
Niantic.
didn't feel the same. Lots of players and creators quit due to Niantic's stressful and poor decision-making, and the overall sentiment was pretty negative. And the year ended on a super underwhelming New Year's event that essentially copied the same Pokemon and costumes as the year before. Not the way we wanted to end the year. But the start of 2022 saw a ton of fun events, including the Johto Tour, which was an incredible
That was a
event
fun
for shiny
one,
hunting
for sure.
and featured gameplay
Usually
for
when they
3
like
people
bring
as well.
back
Also an
a chance to get shinies, like if you just play a week and you get a lot of shinies, I enjoy doing it because I'll just send those to Pokemon home and put them in my Living Dex collection.
April, the Mega Evolution system saw a complete rework.
And there's definitely shinies you can get in Pokemon Go that are a lot easier to get legitimately than in other games.
that did wonders for the game. Mega Pokemon now had levels that, when improved, gave amazing
I guess you can't really get
bonuses.
Shiny
This
Mew at
feature
this
change has
point.
made Mega Pokemon some of the most meta-relevant things in the entire
But
game.
it was Shiny Mew for
2022
Kanto
was also
Tour,
the first
Shiny
year back to in-person Go
Celebi
Fest events, and
for
they were
Johto.
amazing. And this year also kept the global Go Fest
This
events
was
for
fun.
everyone to enjoy around the world.
We went up
which
to
didn't
that was my
exist
first Go
before.
Fest I went
Although
to.
the event
Was in
pretty underwhelming
Seattle.
compared to the last 2 years.
And it was
Players
with the
were still
cowboy
super happy
hat.
to see the
Oops. I didn't mean to just leave the video.
amazing bonuses. This feature change has made Mega Pokemon some of the most meta-relevant things in the entire game since. 2022 was also the first year back to
Yo, it's
in-person
Adam.
Go Fest events, and they were amazing. And this year also
Adam
kept
made
the
it.
global Go Fest event for everyone to enjoy around the world, which didn't exist pre-COVID. Although the event was pretty underwhelming compared to the last 2 years, players were still super happy to see the global Go Fest events were here to stay. And there were several honestly
remember
very
playing
cool
it a little
features
bit over
released
the summer.
to incentivize more outside in the real world play.
Yeah, I think I have the
including
shiny.
scents that could
Didn't
spawn
didn't we
rare and
get it?
legendary birds, and the elite raid feature, which were special and exclusive raids that could only be completed in person.
Wait, did I not get
In-person
it?
Safari Zone events also made their return, and we had an
Oh, wait, maybe I have to do
insane time
shiny
in
and
Singapore,
Snorlax.
which was one of my favorite events I've experienced in years. 2022 was going great until an event rolled out
There
that
it
seemed to
is.
disrupt the good vibes. The Mythical Blade event would live in December of 2022, which featured the release of the new mythical Pokemon Keldeo. Only if you wanted to
Oh,
pay
yeah.
$8 for it. Just
In
like with the
summer.
controversial
The weather's
Rare
been
Mr. Mime event,
crazy
Pokemon Go
out
had
here in
locked
this
a new
year.
exclusive Pokemon directly behind a paywall.
Just saying,
Players
like,
were a bit
things have been
frustrated
changing
that
over the
wasn't
last few
end to the
years,
year
it
many
feels like.
wanted. And that brings us to now.
My homie.
Pokemon Go in 2023 is a completely different game from what it was back in 2016, and also a much different game than 2020. Right now seems to be a big tipping point for the game, and as of lately, it doesn't seem to be tipping in the right direction. You see, Niantic's company mission is all about getting people outside into the real world, and although the pandemic
I won't turn
bonuses
on
made
this
the
call.
game infinitely better for players, it went
Yeah, it's
directly
cold. It's
against
like
Niantic's core
the
mission.
beginning of
Since
June.
the pandemic, all the attempts they've made to revert the game back to a more outdoor-focused one have been poorly received, and 2023 was about to see
boy.
the worst of it all. The yearly tour event was announced to not be be just one, but 2 events this year. A global tour event like always, but this year it was free. And also for the first time ever, there would be an in-person Hoenn Tour event, similar to the Go Fests or Safari Zones. But some verbiage in the fine print of the announcement made players globally concerned.
If you play in the in-person event, you're gonna have increased shiny rate catching these Pokemon. Doesn't say anything about the global event having shiny boost. This is looking really bad.
And unfortunately for them, their fears would come true. The Hoenn Tour announcement stated that shiny rates would be boosted at the in-person Las Vegas
thinking
event,
of going
which
to this,
implied
but we
that
just
global
didn't
shiny rates
do it.
would not be as boosted as the tour events in prior years. The past tour events being some of the best and most fun in Pokemon Go history. And once the Hoenn Tour event came, that is exactly what happened. Shiny rates in Las Vegas were fantastic and the event was amazing, but global rates were fairly poor, which turned a once incredible event experience into a fairly mediocre one for most players. And this wasn't the worst of it. About a month ago, following the Pokemon Go Las Vegas
Yeah, I didn't even
tour,
do this
Pokemon
stuff.
Go accidentally updated the remote raid description in-game,
Oh.
which lit the community on fire. There were nearly riots over this change, but rightfully so. They quickly reverted that change, and we've heard nothing from Niantic about it. On March 30th, Pokemon Go released an announcement titled Updates to Pokemon Go's Remote Raids. This announcement would outline the biggest nerf to Pokemon Go's most popular feature, Remote Raids. Remote Raids would have their price doubled, and players would only be able to use 5 per day. As you can imagine, the community erupted once again in outrage against this absurd change. But this time, Niantic stayed completely quiet and ignored everything. April 6th came, and the update went into effect with no acknowledgement to the community or words on the change. They ignored every bit of feedback from everyone, including community leaders,
That's all I can
creators,
think.
and
But
pushed
I'd
this
keep
change
that.
through anyways. Remember back in 2021 how they stated they were committing to better communication with their player base? That couldn't have been further from the truth. And after this update, Pokemon Go simply seemed to fall apart. Announcements would constantly have the wrong information, the Elite Raid feature completely broke.
I haven't done an Elite Raid at all.
Since remote raids were nerfed and most people stopped using them and playing the game entirely, Niantic had to make back the lost profits somehow and decided to revert to their old pre-COVID ways, which included locking exclusive and exciting Pokemon in the eggs that players would have to spend to hatch. Eggs, by the way, are probably Pokemon Go's biggest scam, comparable to loot boxes,
Absolutely.
where you spend money to open them and have no guarantee on what you'll get. And this was most evident during the recent Instinctive Hero event, which featured the release of a new hyped Pokemon, Larvesta. But the only way to get it was by hatching, and after the event already went live, Pokemon Go updated the original event announcement to more accurately describe how impossibly rare Larvesta was to get. And even worse, to evolve it, a player needed 400 candies, which is completely impossible to do by hatching.
Why would anyone waste their
And as the
time
year progressed, Niantic
trying to
seemed to
get that?
become more and more out of touch with the community. And where the year began
Like,
in a
it's not even
positive,
meta
super
relevant,
exciting way, months later,
as far as
Pokemon
I
Go
can
is now
tell,
in one
in
of
this
the worst
game.
places it's ever
Like,
been. which
maybe
can
in
also
like
be shown
Sword
by the
and Shield.
revenue,
I mean,
which
maybe in
was
like Scarlet
apparently
Violet,
40% lower in
Bulk
April than
Rune
it
is
was in
good, but
February. As
I
it
don't
stands,
think it's good
2023
here.
could possibly be Pokemon Go's worst year yet.
Maybe it's for clout. I don't know. We do live in like a
What's
time
in
of
store for the
content
future of
creator.
Pokemon
Like
Go
everyone's a
is
content
completely
creator, you
unknown. It all
know.
depends on how Niantic wants to take this game, stick to their company mission of outdoor exploration, or adapt the game to a global and changing community.
People can
If they
justify
want to
it.
continue to completely ignore their community and user base, or take in feedback and improve the game, inevitably, Pokemon Go will either evolve and continue to be great, or fade into irrelevance into something we all used to play. Only time and the developers Niantic will tell.
God, dude, how many freaking ads did he need to put in a one video? Okay, I'll give him a like anyways, and I'll put a link in the chat. Jesus, that was way too many ads for that video. Like, I feel like it like threw me off. Like, it just took me out of it every single time. Holy smokes, I almost wish I had YouTube Red on this account I'm on. But anyways, it's fine. Let's see what some of the comments say. This is such a great breakdown of the highs and lows of Pogo. He didn't mention anything about Pokemon competitively, though. Wouldn't you say it's like a significant part of a rise and fall of the game? It's a huge aspect of the community. And he didn't say one goddamn thing about it. Nothing about Sylph, nothing about in-person tournaments, nothing about play Pokemon. The current like circuit of regionals, like it's all just around like this like casual. I don't know, I feel like that's a pretty significant part of its history. For real. Brandon, I respect you so much for this video. Amazingly done. Objective, non-biased, resource, well studied. I just wish he mentioned more about PvP, because I feel like it really is a very significant part of Pokemon Go. But if he didn't even feel, if it's not even like an afterthought to mention it, then maybe potentially Pokemon Go PvP doesn't have a... You know what I mean? Maybe no one cares on that level. It's kind of hard to say. How many views does this video have? 428k views. Let me see what some of the newest comments are saying. Been playing to it's growing and dying. Actually feels good to be one of the only ones who's still playing it. This person says, I love the game, but as a disabled person living in a rural area, it's not easy to play. Makes sense. I deadass have 7 years in this game. This person likes walking. Nothing lasts forever. Yeah, it's true. I'm surprised. Where's the volume? Why would you write that? Oh wow, Pogo Joel. Great breakdown timeline. Missed all the PvT. Yeah, see? What I'll say about PvP. I know that dude. That's so crazy. He commented a day ago, and I just happened to see him. Like, I'm not on an alt account. I forgot which one I'm on. It looked like I was on the BGC one. Hope you enjoyed watching this video with me. The Sass Squad is getting stronger each and every day. You have a good morning, evening, afternoon, or afternoon. I'll catch you in the next one.